Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to another edition of The Walking Dead Snack Bite. So today we are going to just like kind of review and discuss the entire episode, episode 13, season 8 of The Walking Dead. Before we get started though, make sure to check out all of our social channels there at the bottom and the blog, thelivingroomshown.com, and also make sure to subscribe if you like all of our videos and want to see more. So getting right into it. There were a couple really interesting things that happened tonight. I think probably like the biggest event was the attack from the Saviors on the hilltop, where a whole hell of a lot of people died. And
mostly Saviors, though.
Mostly Saviors. They did something like hilariously stupid. I don't know if this was like just an error in the writing or if they actually wanted Simon to come across as like being this arrogant that he like thought he was going to get away with this. Like they're fighting them and then all of a sudden, you know, there's like a lull in the battle, right? And it's like quiet and the lights go off and all that stuff. And Simon's dumb ass like leads the Saviors out into the middle, like knowing full well that everybody inside of that house has like AK-47s and is heavily armed. And I don't know like what he thought they were doing, like taking a nap. And he starts doing his like stupid whistling thing, which is even like more dumb because he's like giving away his, his position strategically. Shocker, they started shooting at him.
Honestly, I thought that scene was very reminiscent to King Ezekiel doing the same thing with the hilltop people at the one of the satellite locations for the Saviors. If you're in a time of war, and I have no, combat experience whatsoever. However, I know enough to know you don't lead your people out into a low ground / open field where they can be basically cannon fodder. Simon's thing, I don't know what he was thinking, if he thought all the shooters were like outside the house and not inside the house or whatever. But again, like this is the second time we've seen such a scenario, and I just think it's so stupid. Like anybody with half of a brain would know, like, let me just, so we can be picked off one by one. And at least I guess it was nighttime at Hilltop, but I don't know what Simon, his whole thing was messed up.
I think it was supposed to be just sort of like showing how him stepping into the leadership role has instantly gone to his head and like made him
thumbs down,
just start to have like terrible judgment. I mean, like that was just like the dumbest thing. And to Ezekiel's credit, I mean, at least he didn't know that there were snipers up in that building. He should have been more on guard.
He should have assumed that there were.
He should have been more on guard, but it's like he didn't know that there were snipers up there. Like Simon knows for sure that they're all inside that house, and he's like,
you could assume that there's someone still lingering, and that's why we don't walk out into the open.
He didn't even go around like the side or move quickly. He moved slowly directly out in the open towards the house. I mean, that just was like the stupidest thing ever.
If anything, I'd have like a tire that had me, that acted as camouflage into my environment. I'm not walking around like walking an open field.
Seriously,
where anyone can shoot me with not even necessarily even bullets, bow and arrows or whatever, like, or throw something at me. You're a target. Like, why would you? I mean, you're in an active war fight.
Yeah,
you don't know who's an enemy and who's not. Like, I'm not going to be openly exposed to anyone unless it's my own people.
That just didn't make a whole lot of sense.
No.
Speaking of Simon, another thing to talk about is like Maggie and the way that she handled him. I thought that it was really smart, that play.
Having the Saviors listen on the radio.
That was really smart, and I just liked her negotiating skills. Her saying that like, look, we got 38 of your people, and like we won't kill them. I don't think she expected Simon to be like, well, screw them, let them die.
Oh, it sounded very similar to something we've already heard before. Oh, you're saying you got our POWs? Well, we don't like losers. We like the Saviors who win. I saw what they did there.
Definitely.
But I think, when Simon said that, I would have looked at each of them to see what their reactions were, because clearly that makes it so much easier for someone to flip. Like, your people literally just say they don't give two fucks about you and if you get killed or not.
Yeah, that was genius.
That was me, and I was a Savior, and I heard that. I'd be like, well, man,
immediately.
Fuck y'all then. I'm picking up a gun, and I'm shooting on you. Like, you're trying to get me killed.
So, speaking of like saviors, Dwight. So I thought it was really interesting that Dwight went out of his way to save Tara. That created an interesting dynamic. He's sort of like playing this role along with Simon, but like not really. They have a weird thing going on.
Well, he says it when Dwight says, Negan wouldn't, the big guy wouldn't want that. He should have said that in front of everyone, like a rat. Like, I don't think Negan would be down with this plan. And then the rat would have been like, yeah, you know what? I know Negan not as intimately as I want to, but I know him, and I know that he would not want this. If Dwight was trying to prevent things from happening. But also, I think it's, Dwight had an opportunity to shoot Simon in the back, and he didn't take it. And I think he should have taken it. Though he did save Tara, who fell in the most awkward, weird way. Like, she fell slow motion like she was dead, just...
Yeah, she like spun around dramatically.
It seemed a little bit extra, but whatever.
I think that was definitely foreshadowing what Dwight said to Simon. He was like, big man wouldn't want this. He could still be out there. And then he said, do you really want to face the consequences if he comes back or something like that? I don't remember the exact quote, but it was something
Simon
effective
says
like...
it's better to beg forgiveness and ask permission.
Which is the dumbest response ever. Like, how does that ever work with Simon? Like, or with Negan. I mean, that never works out. Like, Negan will burn the side of your face or throw you in an oven or something. Like, that is a terrible policy to take with Negan. He's like the worst person to use that on. He's gonna get Lucille'd. Maggie is like really she's transforming into a really interesting leader because like she is kind of like becoming more brutal, but also
and she's petty too.
Yeah,
she admits to, what's her name, Diana or whatever her name is.
She wanted the last thing that Negan to see is Glenn's grave.
She said she provoked him on purpose. Like, I sent that box,
make him mad
on purpose. To hell with the consequences. I don't know what the cost is, but. Yeah.
They're kind of all being petty, on some level, which is to be expected.
Well, she is. Rick is.
I think she is questioning whether or not that was a good idea, though, because at the end, that last scene where...
Well, she wasn't expecting so many of her own people to get...
Yeah.
Got it.
I think that really bothered her, the look on her face when she was looking over those graves, and she asked her what was wrong, and she was like, the cost of all these lives. So, she's in a weird spot right now. She's got a lot of tough decisions to make because, like, she's the one making the life or death calls right now. It's not really Rick. This is her community more so than Rick's at this point.
Yeah.
Speaking of Rick, man, he is just, like, lying to everyone. Like, he told Michonne and Maggie, like, oh, well, I had to go out there and try to kill him. I tried. I didn't, but I tried. It's like, who are you trying to convince, dude? You or yourself? Like, we know damn well he did not try to kill Negan. He, like, took forever. He, like, threw a tomahawk-style machete at him, or axe. Like, it tormented him with a bunch of shit about how he, like, his bat, he, like, lit his bat on fire. He did basically everything he could except kill him. Killing him was not on the agenda that day.
Issues.
Yeah, he's being real petty. Rick is being real petty, and he's also like just not doing well. I mean, that scene with him and Sadiq when he tried to like treat his wound, and it kind of seemed to me.
Sadiq was talking too damn much. He was running his mouth when he shouldn't have been. He should have shut the fuck up, fixed the wound, and then been on his merry way. Yeah, like you don't get to talk to Rick right now.
Yeah,
talking about your lousy. No offense to those who are religious, but I'm just saying, like, Rick literally just lost his son who was trying to help this ding-a-ling get to Hilltop, and it's like, you sit up there trying to give me your thoughts and prayers. Sorry, I don't want your thoughts and prayers right now.
Yeah,
shut the fuck up.
That was definitely poor timing on Sadiq's part. I mean, he needed to just, like, stitch up that wound and shut up and be like, okay, all better, send you on your way. Like, Rick doesn't want to hear platitudes right now. Like, it's too fresh. And plus, like, Sadiq is, partially responsible for Carl's death, so he's, like, the worst person.
That's what I'm saying. If that had been Father Gabriel, Rick would have been cool with it.
Yeah.
He probably wouldn't, he wouldn't have walked off, he wouldn't have been mad, but for Sadiq to go and say all that stuff, it's like, man, shut the fuck up. I don't want to talk about it. I especially don't want to talk to you about it.
I hope that by the end of the season they come to sort of an understanding, because like
End
at
of
this
season?
point,
Doubtful.
maybe not, but they really need to have like a more in-depth conversation about like what exactly happened out there, because like Carl, I mean Rick doesn't really even know like what transpired that led to Carl getting bitten. All he knows is that he went out to go and help him, but like he doesn't know like the details that he like stumbled upon Sadiq capturing walkers, and that there was a reason behind it and all this stuff. He needs to hear like the full story to hear the context.
No, the full story would make him even more mad.
Well, I mean,
it would make him even more mad. He really does not need to know the full story, because if that was me, I hear that full story, it would be like Tara and Dwight, the early days. You know what I mean? Like, I'd be trying to kill that fool, and nobody, that's not a good thing right now.
What else happened? Morgan, dude, he's crazy again. He's normal, then he's crazy, then he goes crazy again. Then he goes on his Zen thing, and now he's crazy.
When was the last time he was fully sane?
When he was with Eastman and he found inner peace with doing like a keto and all that stuff. Yeah, season 6, so 3 years ago. Not time for him to go crazy again, I guess.
He snapped when Benjamin died because of he killed he killed that Kingdom dude. Like, he choked him to death, right? Morgan has not been right since either that point or maybe when he killed that guy for Carol. Yeah. He's been on like the breaking point.
Yeah.
And when he killed that guy for Carol, he thought, well, maybe if I don't go back to Alexandria, I won't have to be in this mess anymore. Then old dude got Benjamin killed, and he had to kill him very slowly. So Morgan has been on a steady decline for some time now. So
I think it's interesting that of all the people for him to hallucinate, he hallucinated Gavin. I mean, I know that, like, whatever, like, Henry stabbed him with a spear or whatever, but it just doesn't seem... It seems bizarre to me that, like, that death would be the one that, like, broke him, you know?
I think it's because... he's saying Gavin because... Not because, Morgan has seen a lot of death and dealt a lot of death himself, but the way Gavin died, seeing the other end of that stick being a little boy is what's messing him up.
Yeah. Well, we did see him like shudder and sort of like
Morgan hesitate. So here's the thing. Morgan hesitated killing Gavin because on the one hand, he didn't fully believe that he should kill him, but then at the same time, he was like, I have to kill him. We can't let any of them go. And then because of that hesitation on whether to kill him or spare him, Gavin gets killed anyway by some kid who he didn't want to be part of that world, right? So Morgan's grappling with, his own virtues and ideals of, peacekeeping and stuff, and then, keeping people safe, and then he's got this other layer of being like a father and trying to protect kids and stuff. Like, he's got a lot going on in his head right now.
He's got like kid
what does Gavin
issues.
keep saying?
Yeah.
You know what
you know what it is. You know what it is.
Yeah. So that's to me what that is referencing.
Yeah, and I mean they kind of foreshadowed it. Like when he died, they cut to Morgan, and he looked like particularly disturbed watching him die. I mean, that was like not okay with him.
And Henry kept saying, "Oh, I had to." Bitch, no, you didn't. And it's just he was kind of echoing what Morgan was just saying. So Morgan is. It's a layer upon layer of conflict about, who to kill, when, where, and why, and what to be okay with, and he just doesn't know anymore.
I'm sure that he is probably... I'm sure that, like, this whole crazy hallucination thing is going to be the beginning of, like, the end of him on the show, and then he's going to, like, leave partially because of that, because it seems like every time he goes crazy, he isolates himself and, like, wanders off into the woods just to, like, find himself or whatever. Which I don't really understand, because it seems like if you were going crazy, you would like want to be around the people that you love the most so they could help you, but that's just not the way that Morgan rolls. So hopefully he's less crazy by the time he gets to Fear the Walking Dead.
I think so. It's a long walk if he is indeed walking.
Yes.
he's got his leg all bandaged up and he's got some tape on his shoe, like, went on the long jaunt. This episode, it's unfortunate that Gabriel wasn't there, because while on the one hand, these people at Hilltop were infected with the infected walker blood through wounds, as opposed to Gabriel, who just wore it and had it seep into his skin. It was topical infection as opposed to internal, right? But still, Gabriel was saved from antibiotics. It killed his fever.
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up. So that's actually really interesting. They haven't really done anything in the show that has led us to believe that there's like a difference in the rules of how somebody could get infected and possibly die. But this season, they've introduced like a new kind of idea / dynamic where, Negan mentioned to Gabriel when they were trapped in that trailer together that like people have gotten sick from doing the guts trick where they put it on themselves to blend in with the walkers, right? We've never heard of that before. Like, we've seen Rick do it a bunch of times, but he's never gotten sick, and nobody else has either. Negan's seen this happen. So,
this is the location. There was like some kind of chemical spill or something.
Yeah.
At least it leads me to believe that those walkers are infected with something else.
Yeah. But it like implies that there are different degrees of the infection. Like if you get it topically, you can save yourself by using the antibiotics because it brought Gabriel back. Not so much if
vision.
Yeah, not so much if you
still got the butthole vision.
Hey, he could still see a hell of a lot more than Dr. Carson.
Like this.
Yeah. Butthole vision.
So
that implies that, like, if it's like a direct wound that breaks the skin, that you still die of the fever and everything, but you can get, if you get, like, it on your skin, though, you can get sick and still come back from it, which is different. That's the difference.
I don't know that it is, because I'm trying to think of one instance where we literally see someone take an antibiotic after getting infected. And the whole thing that kills you is the fever, right? Antibiotics stop the fever.
Mm-hmm.
And none of those people took, like, even when they were in the prison and there was that swine flu or whatever it was, Herschel was like, we got to keep their fevers down because if the fever gets out of control, they'll die. It was acting the same way as a bite.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like, if you just get the fever down, that could potentially stop, that stops them from pot boiling, and that stops them from essentially dying. And I just feel like, I don't know, like, have we ever seen someone be put in an ice bath? Have we ever seen someone chug a bottle of Tylenol?
I'm really curious about the ice bath thing. I mean, if you, like, packed somebody's entire body in ice to just make it so that the fever could not overtake you, would you still die?
Yeah, it doesn't seem to me. If the fever is what's killing you, not necessarily the infection itself, because everyone already has the infection, then theoretically you shouldn't die. Like, if Carl had, went and, raided the cabinet and taken some, children's Tylenol, fever reducer, took the whole bottle, maybe a couple of antibiotics if there were any to spare. Like, maybe it could have bought him at least some more time. Going off of how Gabriel was infected.
I'm curious, too, if, like, what would happen if they gave somebody, like, intravenous penicillin or something. I wonder if that could, because obviously, like, if you take, like, oral antibiotics, it takes a while for it to work. But if you got bit and they gave you intravenous penicillin, could that save somebody from a bite even? Interesting questions.
I think so.
Like, I'm hoping that maybe, like, these new doctors that we have, Sadiq and that other bitchy lady, do something like that, because we haven't really had a doctor try and come up with a cure or like a way of saving people who've gotten bitten. Pretty much everybody's just like accepted that if you get bitten, you're going to die unless like your leg is amputated or whatever. But this kind of throws a monkey wrench into that whole thing. So they might be foreshadowing that there's going to be some exploration of like other ways to treat the disease like soon. So I'm curious to see what happens with that.
I don't know. I feel like they're pushing Maggie and face pubes together.
Oh, the cute savior?
The cute savior,
The cute savior.
It's not cuter than you, honey.
Yeah, damn straight. Nice save. I'm going to put cute savior in the video. He's going to pop up like right now. For everybody to watch him. Then they can be the judges of who's cuter than
you
you.
look like a man.
Thank you. On that note, if you guys like our content, make sure to subscribe right up here for weekly videos. Also follow us at our social channels. That'll be right here below. And also check out the brand new blog, thelivingroomshown.com. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and we will talk to you next time. Bye-bye.